Well, it has happened again. The United States Congress has failed the small business community here in the United States. Notably, and I'm not trying to be political here, I'm just stating the facts as they stand. And if you're going to come into our channel and get nasty with politics, we will block you and delete you immediately, because we're not dealing with that. I'm just explaining to you the actual facts as they stand. Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican, and the Republican-controlled House of Representatives refused to vote to fund the Small Business Administration, to fund natural disaster loans in the middle of hurricane season. By the way, whatever your opinions are about climate change, we all know, if you are living and breathing in the United States, that August through October, November, it's hurricane season. This is not something that just magically appeared out of the air. I'm an old dude. As long as I'm alive, I can remember knowing about hurricane season. I mean, maybe if you live in Idaho, you don't know about it because, what does hurricanes affect you in Idaho? But on the East Coast of the United States, it's a thing. Okay? And if you've been living and breathing for any length of time, you know that. So why would the Congress fail to give the Small Business Administration money that it needs? Because this week, the Small Business Administration disclosed that they have approximately $100 million left for natural disaster loans, which just last night, Hurricane Milton hit Florida. And not only did the hurricane wreak damage, but the tornadoes that were created by the hurricane caused all kinds of additional damage, including so far 4 people dead on the east coast of Florida. This hurricane, just one hurricane, had all kinds of effects. And this is only 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene. And we've seen what terrible devastation that hurricane caused in North Carolina and Georgia and other places. For the Congress, which I'm going to remind you, and I'm not being political, but it is controlled by the Republican Party right now. Supposedly the party of small business, except they don't have your back because they didn't vote to approve funding. And why? Because Johnson said, we'll do it after Election Day. So again, just like I know about hurricane season because I'm a living, breathing person in the United States, if you're a living, breathing person in the United States and a politician says, we're not going to do a vote on that, no matter what the constituents need, until after Election Day, that's politics, folks. They're playing politics with your business. This is an absolute disgrace. And if you're a small business owner and you're voting for these people, I just think so I guess I am getting political. But if you're running your small business, how can you possibly, in good conscience, for your own business, forget about the community of small business in the United States, 30 million small businesses, your own business health and sustainability, and you've got political forces working against you. And if you are voting for these people, I'm a former Republican, and I'm saying that to you as an independent person who votes independently, that just logically, it makes no sense for people who don't support the policies you need to live your best life in the United States. And if you're a small business owner, those people are in the Congress right now, and $100 million is not going to go very far. The cap for an SBA loan for a small business in a natural disaster situation is $2 million. So let's get the calculator out, okay? $100 million divided by $2 million. Now, that's not the average loan. Okay, it's not. But let's just say $2 million. Let's see how many small businesses getting a $2 million natural disaster loan this $100 million will fund. If you're good at math, you know where I'm going with this. Divided by $2 million equals 50 loans. Now, if we lower it, let's say, and I don't know statistically what the average is for a natural disaster loan, but let us say the average natural disaster loan is $150,000. So we'll do the same math. 100 million divided by 150,000 is the sign of the devil, right? Less than 700 loans. I'm pretty sure we can find any given county in North Carolina right now, or in Florida right now, or in Georgia right now, or even, in Idaho, because natural disaster loans are not just for hurricanes, they're also for drought. Here in Connecticut, we had terrible thunderstorms a few weeks back that did massive damage, and several people died because of a massive thunderstorm that hung over the area for like 24 hours or something and caused all kinds of damage, which we still see as we drive through. There's still businesses are recovering. Just this little community is 2 towns here in northwestern Connecticut, or wildfires in California, flooding in California, Hawaii, Maui. People are still getting funding for those loans. We have a client we're working with right now, she's requesting an increase on the natural disaster loan she got for rental properties up in Vermont. Remember Vermont? That was horrible. I'm pretty sure that all of those areas together are going to come up to more than 700 people, more than 700 businesses. Listen, forget about 150,000, forget about 2 million. Let's say I've got $100 million left at the SBA today, which is all the SBA has left because the Congress refused to vote on funding until after Election Day, which means they're playing politics with your livelihood and your survival as a business owner. They want to force you to become an employee of somebody else. Yeah, I said it out loud, okay? So $100 million is all the SBA has left, according to their release this week, their press release. Let's say the average loan is $75,000. Watch this. 100 million divided by $75,000. 1,300 loans, folks. 1,300. Drought in Idaho. Michigan had a thing with the chill over the winter reduced tourism, and that was declared a disaster area. So those businesses are still applying for those loans today. California, wildfires, earthquakes, Maui, still businesses recovering from that and applying for natural disaster loans. Here in Connecticut, the town of Southbury in Oxford, Connecticut, in northwestern Connecticut, impacted by a thunderstorm. And you'll notice I'm just cutting out a whole part of the nation I haven't even discussed, but here it is. Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton. All those southeastern states impacted. 1,300 loans? No, seriously. Congress needs to do better. And when we get people coming on this channel saying that the SBA needs to forgive this loan, we remind those people that the COVID-19 EIDL program is funded through the good graces of the people who control the purse strings for the United States Treasury. And those people are in the United States Congress. They are not in the SBA. The SBA does not control how much money they get from the Treasury. President Biden, whoever's in the White House, does not control how much money the Small Business Administration gets for you, their constituents, from the U.S. Treasury. The United States Senate does not control how much money you get from the Small Business Administration. That money starts at the United States House of Representatives. Those are the facts. I hate the phrase, do your own research, but go ahead, do your own research. And please use legitimate media sources. If you're a small business owner, you should be using legitimate media sources and economic studies and so forth to get your information. And then make your decision and put that into your plan to vote, which, by the way, do you have a plan to vote? Because if you don't, you should. One last note about the United States Senate and the United States Congress. At the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024, we saw, by the SBA's own admission, the SBA shipped off 860,000 COVID-19 EIDLs, loans received during the pandemic, as default for non-payment. And they shipped those off to the United States Treasury for debt collection procedures. The Treasury adds on 30%. Treasury starts garnishing immediately, because we saw it with dozens of clients that we interacted with who hired us to help them get out of that mess. Social Security payments, Medicare payments, government contractor checks being withheld. And the people we spoke to, we discovered very quickly, we had over 100 clients hire us, and we spoke to dozens and dozens more people here on YouTube and on our emails and so forth. What we learned was SBA's repayment procedures were a complete chaotic mess, like a complete failure as a lender to teach their borrowers how to pay the loan back, how to manage the repayment process. And I'm not going to get into those details. We've done that before, but 860,000 loans shipped off to collections. And here's what I found out as I looked into the background of this. Notably, 2 Republicans, one in the United States Senate, one in the Congress, both of whom are on the small business committees for their relative chambers, the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee, I think it's called, in the Senate, and I think it's the House Committee for Business and Entrepreneurship. Don't quote me, but I think those are the names. These 2 people, both Republicans, kept sending communications to the SBA, kept speaking to the media, and it's going on still to this day, the most vitriolic and nasty communications to the SBA, the senator demanding that the SBA collect every penny on these COVID loans, and the congressperson insisting that the SBA sell these loans to private collection agencies. Have you ever dealt with a private collection agency? Because that's a whole world of pain all by itself. And mind you, I have not seen, because I get the press releases from each of their offices and from these different committees. Okay, very easy to do. You just do Google alerts and you type in the filters of what you want, and I get these press releases. I also get the press releases from the Department of Justice when they've arrested and prosecuted and convicted people who committed fraud during the pandemic. And I'm going to tell you right now, those numbers are very, very, very low relative to the number of loans. And I predicted this during the pandemic, that those numbers, when all this shook out, that these numbers are going to be low. And so here we are with these 2 politicians sending these horrible letters demanding the SBA do better. But you know what I don't see either of them doing? Talking about loan forgiveness. They're not talking about that. They're not talking about how they can help the Small Business Administration to better manage the program, to make it easier for small businesses to achieve repayment and avoid default. No, they're not having those types of conversations. They're not doing it in committee either. They're not. They're not discussing anything that is helpful to you as a small business owner. They're playing politics with your money, your program, the Small Business Administration. Be careful how you vote.